Hey everybody, my name is Karen and you are at Blue Rooster Farm. Today we're in the kitchen and we are getting ready to make a recipe using zucchini. I know we've been doing lots of recipes with zucchini, but you know what? Everybody has tons right now and they're trying to figure out ways of using it. So I'm trying to help you out here. Today, the recipe that we're making is chocolate chip zucchini bread. So stick around if you want to see how we make it. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around. I really appreciate that you're taking the time out of your busy schedule to watch this video today. Today we are going to be using zucchini again. Now, I know there's so many people right now in the different Facebook groups that I'm in who are saying, what do I do with all my zucchini? Well, I know I've given you about 3 or 4, maybe 5 recipes so far on my channel trying to help. I hope that's done some good. But I am down to this many zucchinis. So if you can see in there, we pulled our plants because the squash bugs were taken over. We had some cucumber beetles on there too, and we just needed to get them out, and we burned the plants. It looks like some of the squash beetles, even though the cucumber plants that we have are located way far away from our zucchini, we also have some squash bugs and cucumber beetles on our cucumbers. But luckily, I've been able to get several big crops of cucumbers, and I've given some away, and so we are good on cucumbers. So if they get to the point where they're taking it over, we'll pull the plants and dispose of them too. I'm hoping that they'll stay off my watermelon plants. I know sometimes they will get on those when they're planted with pumpkins and things like that, so I'm hoping that they'll stay away because I would really like to have some watermelon this year. But how many of you, commented below, how many of you are having a great crop of zucchini this year? And how many of you went on YouTube just specifically to find a recipe for zucchini? That interests me because I know that's where I would go a lot of times before I had my channel. I would go and say, okay, I need something for this. And I still do today, I still do. So let me know down in the comments if you are searching for zucchini recipes and that's how you found me. Today, the recipe that I'm going to share is a chocolate chip zucchini bread. And this one I developed because there were things I liked in some chocolate chip zucchini breads and some things that I didn't like. One thing that I didn't like was I didn't like that it was just zucchini bread with chocolate chips in it. I wanted it to be a different flavor. I wanted it to have kind of a chocolate chip cookie flavor. So I kind of mixed different things up and tried several different varieties of things and finally came up with this that I really like. So I hope you give this one a try. I've made this one twice already and both times it's come out beautifully. Today I'm making it and I'm not going to be able to do a taste test because it's something that I'm going to have to freeze to take to someplace else. So I will just tell you right off the bat, it is delicious, it is moist. It does have more of a cake-like texture that is really good. And it does taste like chocolate chip cookies, only in a bread. So let's get started. Let me set this aside so I think everybody can see. That looks like everything's visible. So the first thing, and when I made this recipe, I would just write down the things that I was adding and then decide, as far as if it was thick enough, and then if I had to add extra, I'd add it. So I've got my chicken scratch right here from developing that. And again, this recipe will be at the very end of the video so that you can take a screenshot or you can pause it and write it down. I also have a YouTube channel, a Facebook channel or page that you can go to. It's Blue Rooster Farm. And on there, I will post the recipes about 2 days after I release the video, and you can copy it from there too. And also on my Facebook page, I post several times a week on things that are going on at the farm. Maybe put some pictures on some plants and things in the garden, or things that I've been baking in the kitchen, maybe the ones that I've been making videos of, or things that I didn't make videos of just because I didn't have time. But check out the Facebook page. I think you'll enjoy it. So let's get started. Like I said, we're gonna start by creaming our butter and oil. So we need a stick of butter, and this could be butter with salt or butter without salt. It does not matter. We're gonna add a half a cup of oil. Get it all in there. We are going to add 3/4 cup of packed brown sugar. Now, if you want to know how to make your own brown sugar from sugar, check out my video on how to make brown sugar. I'll put a card up here somewhere and you can click on that and it'll take you right to the video. So 3/4 cup of brown sugar, and then 3/4 cup of just plain white sugar. Now, one thing that I didn't do is I haven't tried this with a sugar substitute. So I'm not sure how it would work. You can give it a try and then comment below and let us know. I would really like to know that, because I do like to have options of making things with sugar and without. The next thing we're gonna add, we're just gonna go ahead and just add the butter and the sugars first, and we're gonna cream that together. And while that's creaming, I'm gonna get a spatula. So all we're working to do right now is just get the butter, the sugar, and the oil all creamed, no lumps. Now that butter was room temperature, not melted, just room temperature. And that is important. Don't melt your butter, just keep it at room temperature. If you put it in there cold, it's just gonna be chunky and you can't get those chunks out until it warms up. So just leave it at room temperature. If you have a microwave that has a soften setting, use that. Ours does, and I use that a lot because a lot of times when I'm cooking, it's just spur of the moment that I have to make something and I haven't set anything out. So if your microwave has that, use that. The next thing we're gonna add is 3 eggs. And these are 3 large eggs. And I'm gonna crack each one in the dish, making sure that everything's good. And also, if I get a shell, it's easier to get the shell out in this little dish. So we got our 3 eggs, and I'm gonna give that a whir. All right, that's nicely blended. Scrape the sides. Now this is not going to be thick and buttery like a cookie batter because of course that oil is in here, but it's going to be well blended. You're not gonna see butter chunks, sugar chunks, pieces of egg. They're all mixed nicely in there. Then we're gonna add a teaspoon of almond and a teaspoon of vanilla. Now, vanilla, I just throw in, we like a lot of vanilla. Almond, you don't have to use. I really like the flavor of it in my cake and chocolate chip cookies. Anything chocolatey, I like to add vanilla. So I'm gonna add a teaspoon. So a teaspoon of both. And then I'm gonna just whir that up real quick. Then we're gonna add the dry ingredients, and we are going to add, and I think I'm just gonna put them in the bowl. A lot of times when I'm cooking, I will just pile everything in the bowl and not mix it until all the dry ingredients are in there, and then I'll whir it around just to save me some time. But this would be probably the proper way to do it, is to mix the dry ingredients and then pour them in. That way it's well incorporated. So let me I'll just use this. So let's start with 3 cups of flour. And this is going to make 2 nice size loaves. And to our flour, we are going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And remember, baking soda has those lumps. We want to get those lumps out. So I just push them with my thumb when I'm pouring it into my dry ingredients. 1 teaspoon. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder. We're also going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. 1. If you need to watch your salt, you can add less. Salt is not something that's important for anything in the bread, but it's just for taste. So if you're watching salt, you can omit that if you'd like. I find that the salt brings out the flavors. And so we've got all of our dry ingredients right here. And so I'm just going to mix that together so that baking soda and baking powder and salt are well incorporated into that flour, and nothing is going to get a big, or no part of the batter is going to have a big clump of salt or a big clump of baking soda. All right, now we've got that, and we are going to pour this in. And I'm going to put the whole thing in. And then we're going to be careful when we turn this on so that we don't get a poof of flour in our face. And I just mixed that until everything was incorporated. I still see a little bit of flour around, but we're going to add 1/4 cup of buttermilk. Now, if you haven't seen my video on how to make or culture your own buttermilk, check it out. You can always have buttermilk on hand doing that, and it is great. So 1/4 cup. And this buttermilk will do great in reacting with that baking soda. The acidity in the buttermilk and the baking soda will react nicely and give it a nice rise. Also, the buttermilk's good for flavor and good for texture. So 1/4 cup of buttermilk. We're going to add 2 heaping cups of this is just shredded zucchini. Whenever it says 2 cups, I fill the 2 cup measuring cup to the top and I push it down. That's just the way I do it. If you want to have less, that's fine. I find that this makes things very moist. So I'm going to put that in there. And I'm going to give it a quick swirl around. Okay, and I just did that quickly because we still have some other things to add and I don't want to make it tough. So this is going to be where we add our chocolate chips. Now, the amount of chocolate chips is all dependent on how much you like chocolate. You could go with 1 cup, you could go with 2 cups. 2 cups is a bag of chocolate chips. That's pretty rich. 2 cups is pretty rich in 2 loaves of bread. But if you like it really chocolatey, go for it. I'm going to add probably about 1 cup, 1 1/4 cups to my bread. Then I'm going to add, and this is optional, I'm going to add 1 cup of chopped nuts. Almonds, walnuts, pecans, all of those would be really good. I've got English walnuts in here and they are delicious in it. That's how I made my other ones and they're delicious. I'd love to have some pecans to put in here and try it with those, but I don't have any on hand today. So I'm going to add my 1 cup of walnuts. And if you want less, you can add less. If you want more, you could add more. It can handle it. So now we've got everything added and we're going to give it its final mix. And again, not too long, just to get everything mixed up good. So I'm going to take it off the stand. I'm going to scrape off my beater. And this is something you could easily do in a bowl with just by hand. I just use my mixer all the time. So if you don't have a mixer, a stand mixer, you can just use your hand. Or if you have a handheld mixer, you could use that. But this one's really easy to whip up without a stand mixer. Okay, let me give a good scrape around the sides. And I'm going to show you the thickness of this so you'll know. It's a pretty thick batter, like that. Okay, and we are going to put that in 2 well-greased and floured bread pans. Now, I think you could also put this in a 13 by 9 inch cake pan and serve it like that too. I haven't tried that, but I think you can. So when you do your pans, make sure that you grease them with either oil, butter, shortening, and then flour them because you need to be able to take them out without them falling apart. Some people put parchment paper. If you want to do that, line them with parchment paper. So we're going to divide this batter evenly, if we can. That's always the hard part, trying to get the 2 loaves the same size. I guess I could put my scale out here and weigh it, but I'm not that perfect. My oven is set for 325, and it's at 325 because you see how thick this batter is and you see how much is in each bread pan. So this is going to take a while to cook. And I was trying to remember how long it baked. It almost seems like it's an hour. But you'll know it's done when you touch on the top and it springs back, or if you stick a sharp thin knife or a toothpick in or a wooden skewer and you pull it out and it comes out clean, then you know it's done. The part that's going to cook the very last, and it can be very frustrating, is that middle. And you can wait, you think, okay, I'm going to give it 5 more minutes, and then 5 more minutes, it's still soft. Just be patient, it will be fine. This has all that zucchini in it, so it is going to stay moist, even if you have to cook it a little longer. Now, if you take it out while the center is not cooked and it's a little undercooked, it will collapse in the middle. So just be warned. And it will be gooey. And usually we don't like our breads to be gooey. That's for brownies. All right, I think I've got them pretty even. Now I'm just making sure that the top, or that they're level, and that the middle is not higher than the sides, because I don't want it to stick out way high, because I don't want it to take so long to cook. Okay. So I've got my 2 pans, and they're going to go into the oven until they are cooked, probably about an hour. I'll let you know when I pull them out. See you in a bit. All right, I'm bringing you back because I just have taken both of the loaves out of the oven. You can see that they're nicely mounded. It took 70 minutes. It took an hour and 10 minutes. Now my oven, I think, is a little lower than what other ovens are, so you'll have to adjust to your time with your oven. But when I press on it, it doesn't sink. When I stick something in, there's nothing stuck to it. But both loaves came out really pretty. So I hope that you will give this recipe a try. Like I said, it is really good. It's very cake-like, it's very moist. It tastes like chocolate chip cookies in a bread. So give this a try and leave comments if you have any recipes that you would like to see using zucchini, or if you have a great recipe, comment about it. I'd love to hear. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.